I'm here with Alyssa Norris, who's the Director of Sustainability with Aether Fuels here at the SAF North America Congress. Welcome, Alyssa.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Aether has been described as a company revolutionizing sustainable fuel production. What makes your technology different from existing SAF pathways, and why is it that important for scaling SAF globally?
So 3 main things: lower capex, higher yield, and feedstock flexibility. So our technology, which we call Aether Aurora, we've innovated around the Fischer-Tropsch technology pathway. FT has had a lot of innovation that's already been done, but when we were first looking at this, we realized that syngas generation, the step before FT, and upgrading the step after, there could still be a lot done to lower the capex and help improve yield. So for starters, we use waste carbon. That's our feedstock. So this can include just captured CO2 with hydrogen. This can include biogas or RNG, industrial waste gas, and with gasification, we can use municipal solid waste, forestry residue waste, and agriculture waste. So there's a lot of feedstocks that we can use in our process. Additionally, the syngas generation step we call our electric tri-converter. So it's electric, which means that if we're using grid electricity that's low CI or renewable electricity, then our CI score is much lower. Our fuel CI score is much lower at the end. Additionally, that's different than a traditional fired reactor because it is electricity. So normally in a fired reactor, you would need to use some of your feedstock to burn, and not all of that carbon would end up in that final fuel product. For us, we're able to have a much higher efficiency, about 95% carbon conversion from feedstock to final fuel. Also call it a tri-converter, so tri-3, because there's essentially 3 steps happening in one reactor. So what traditionally would take 3 separate pieces of equipment, we can do in one. And we've done this through novel catalysts, equipment design, and process intensification. So lower capex, higher yield. Additionally, on the upgrading step, we're able to take direct raw FT effluent and put it directly into the upgrader. So that's less energy that's used and, again, less equipment needed.
That's critical. I think that there was a lot of discussion over the past few days about the capex costs for scaling SAF and how they can be a bit of a barrier. So if there's lower capex, that can only be a good thing. In terms of some of the people you're working with, you're partnering with some of the major players in the sector. So Chevron is an investor, Singapore Airlines, who've announced you have an offtake MOU with, and JetBlue as well, who's both an investor and who you have an offtake MOU as well. What do these relationships represent for Aether?
Yeah, so for SAF and for Aether Fuels to be successful, we really see it as part of an ecosystem success. So each of those partners, each of those relationships represent critical pieces of the SAF ecosystem. So for one, I think that it's also a great vote of confidence that our technology is working, our team is a great team, and our strategy is a good strategy. So that's a great vote. Additionally, I think there's a lot that can be learned from traditional oil and gas. So being able to have some relationships that we can build on and again kind of learn, and as we move into new and better sustainable fuel production, that's really helpful. Additionally, on the airline side, both having an investor as well as some of these relationships for MOUs, we've been better able to understand not just what the airlines want and need, so not just cost, but what their customers are asking for. So Scope 3 emissions, additionally, their own definitions or requirements for sustainability and sustainable fuels. So that's been invaluable.
That's fantastic. I mean, yeah, it really does take every part of the value chain to sort of get the industry to some of the really ambitious targets that it has in the next decades. SAF production often faces challenges around feedstock availability and the cost of production. And so how is Aether approaching these challenges to make sustainable fuels both scalable and also economically viable?
Sure. So I mentioned earlier that we're feedstock flexible. That's one of our key differentiators. So we can kind of play in the biofuels space as well as the e-fuels space. So I mentioned some of the other feedstocks that we can use. we've really tried to, when we're planning for our commercial plants, be able to scale the size of the plants to what feedstock's available in a certain region and prioritize whatever feedstock a certain region or certain area has. So just to give a couple examples, the Middle East, for example, has a lot of solar and potentially could have hydrogen. That would be a great place for an e-fuels plant. Here in the US, there's a lot of agriculture waste, there's a lot of woody biomass waste. Those are areas that we might prioritize those feedstocks for those type of commercial plants. Additionally, in Southeast Asia, there's a lot of electrification happening with industrial waste plants or industrial facilities. So as those plants get electrified, there's more waste gas. So we can then utilize that and turn that into SAF as well. So really depends, and again, being able to size our plants to what feedstock is available will give us kind of a better cost.
I think from what I've heard here, even in the USA, you could go from one state to the next and have completely different feedstocks that people are interested in, basically. So that scalability and adaptability must be really important, not only internationally, but here in the States as well. Just moving on to some SAF targets. Obviously, a lot of airlines and governments are setting very ambitious SAF targets, but there's an anticipation of some supply lags behind the demand in the coming years. What needs to change technologically, financially, or politically to close the gap? I know it's a big question to unpack there, but we'd love to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, so I think there's obviously across the board, financially, technologically, and politically, there's been a lot of progress, but there's always room for improvement. Technologically, we know that there's going to be this SAF demand coming online. It's already here. It's coming more and more, especially as the mandated markets continue to force SAF. So technology needs to move faster, and we really need to move past HEFA. So technologies like Aether Fuels can be a place that we're able to get to commercialization faster and help fill that HEFA gap. Politically, I think having continued support, whether that's from mandates or incentives, that's really important. Having stability is really important as well. And having some synchronization, some communication across borders. So aviation is global. How we account for SAF, what our definitions of SAF are, there should at least be some synergies across policies. And financially, I think investment is so important. That's how we're going to be able to pay for these commercial plants. But investment across the board, from research and development, early grants, scaling up to demo and first of a kind, and even onward. And that money can be from government grants, that can be from venture capital, that can be from banks that are willing to take a little bit of a risk. So all part of the puzzle.
It's really interesting to see that there's kind of a blend of those three in different countries and different regions across the world. I guess you'd expect to see perhaps in the next few years that there might be one or two sort of perfect models or close to perfect models that could be adapted around the world. And we could talk about that for probably another 30 minutes, but I won't. And we'll move on to basically just the last question here. And I want to ask, is there any exciting upcoming news about Aether that you'd like to share with us?
Yes, it's been a really exciting year. 2025 has been good in a lot of ways. Actually, as we speak, our demonstration plant is being built right now. That's about a 1 barrel per day plant being built at RTI in North Carolina. We're very excited about that. That should be up and running by the end of December. So that's kind of our first piece of news. As if that wasn't enough, in about a month, in mid-November, we'll have another announcement about the location and partners for our first small commercial plant. So a lot's been happening.
Yeah, I'm really excited to follow how you guys go and to hear more about both projects. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today, Alyssa.
Of course. Thank you so much.